الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So as we continue discussing the book Al-Mulakhis al-Fiqhi by Shaykh Salih Fawzan Hafidullah, and we're picking up from where we had stopped, which is we'll be continuing discussing what you refer to as Ahkam al-Waqf. So discussing concerning Ahkam al-Waqf and those things that relates to this particular topic. Aywa.
This one's on. No.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله قال مؤلف حفظه الله. Chapter 5, page 205, Endowment Waqf. In Sharia, Islamic law, endowment in Arabic is waqf, refers to the retention of any property that can be benefit from by suspending disposal of it and dedicating its revenues to public use as an act of charity. Houses, shops, gardens, and the like can be examples of property endowment whose benefits, such as fruits, rents, and lodging, can be given in charity. Endowment is desirable in Islam, and it is considered a pious act that brings a man near to Allah, as proved through the authentic Sunnah. To illustrate, it is stated in the two Sahihs that Omar radiallahu anhu said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "O Messenger of Allah, I have a land in Khaybar which I prize highly, so what do you order me to do with it?" The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "If you like, you can give the land as endowment and give its fruits in charity." Thereupon Umar gave it in charity as an endowment on the condition that the land and the trees will neither be sold nor given as a present nor bequeathed. He endowed it for the poor, for his kith and kin, for emancipation of slaves, and for the cause of Allah, for travelers and guests.
Aywa. So the author Hafidullah, Shaykh Fawzan, that with this discussion or this particular topic regarding discussing concerning Ahkam al-Waqf. So of those things that Islam take into consideration and also set certain type of guidelines in place is matter regarding al-Waqf, which is a form of charity. So charity, which is endowment, where a person have donated or give something that they wish to be used for the public or for public use and to benefit from this thing. So this thing could be, as we'll discuss concerning what are those things that are allowed and also certain conditions attached to it. But the overall rule, the overall ahkam is a discuss concerning what are those things that one should take into account, and also guidelines that one should follow regarding what we might say which is endowment plus also / charity. So this of those things. So Islam regarding knowledge that these are form of things that occur, but also it should have certain have certain guidelines in place to ensure that it fulfill its objectives and purpose. Aywa. So you mentioned regarding concern that the hadith in above, the case, the hadith of in the Sahihain or in any Bukhari and Muslim. Then I mentioned the case of Omar bin Khattab anhu regarding that he has certain property or certain type of land that he gained from Khaybar, and he gave this away in charity. So they mentioned that's concerning of those evidence to prove regarding concerning the permissibility of this. So from the act of Omar anhu that he showed the permissibility. The Prophet mentioned, فَإِنْ شِئْتَ, that if you wish, habasta, that if you wish that you can give it away, أصلها وتصدق بها, that if you wish that you can keep it or you can give it in charity. So it showed the permissibility regarding giving away things in charity so the general public can benefit from this. Then as for the hukum that is mentioned, I mentioned that is a form of qurba. Overall, ulama or something which is mustahab. So regarding concerning this act, regarding the hukum shari, regarding the person giving things in endowment or giving away things in charity, then this is said to be something which is mustahab. It's not wajib, but it is something which is mustahab, highly preferred for a person to be done and considered to be an act of qurba, getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also act of bir, piety. Then also you find that and other that ulama who have that they have mentioned that also can be included as dalil from the Quran. So also you have evidence regarding concerning the permissibility or the legality of waqf. What I mentioned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned many places with them, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. So it mentioned that لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ, that you will not gain of bir, you will not achieve of piety, حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا, until you give in charity that which you love. So they mentioned the wajh dalala, that regarding concerning that this ayah you prove regarding that al-waqf is a part of giving things in charity. So awqaf, al-waqf, given in charity, putting things endowment, this is a form of in fact in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Aywa.
Imam Muslim also related in his Sahih, authentic book of Hadith, that the Prophet ﷺ said, when a Muslim being dies, his deeds come to an end except for 3 deeds, whose rewards are everlasting: ongoing charity, knowledge benefited from others, by others, or a pious son who prays for him. Jabir radiallahu anhu said, all the rich of the Prophet's companions gave endowments. Al-Qurtubi, may Allah have mercy on him, said, there is no disagreement among the faqirs on the permissibility of endowing barrages and mosques, yet they differ about other properties.
So here we discuss concerning some of the evidence regarding concerning the permissibility of this act, where he mentioned regarding from the Sunnah, and also some of the what have been mentioned regarding concerning the statement of the ulama. So also you'll find that I mentioned regarding the hadith, a second hadith is mentioned, and I mentioned the hadith in the Sahih Muslim, that mentions this matter regarding the hadith of Abu Hurairah anhu, regarding concerning this matter. I mentioned that, as mentioned in the hadith, إِذَا مَاتَ الْإِنسان, that if a person dies, انقطع عمله, that his actions that they cease to continue, إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثَةٍ, except for 3 matters. So regarding concerning each person while they are alive, they benefit from their actions, but upon their death, then those actions, the person cannot benefit from those actions, except in 3 cases. As I mentioned, those 3 exceptions. I mentioned sadaqatun jariyah, where I mentioned that a sadaqatun jariyah or sadaqatun jariyah, where is a sadaqah, a jariyah, that An-Nawawi rahimahullah mentioned concerning as-sadaqatun jariyah. He mentioned huwa, or sadaqatun jariyah, hiya al-waqf, that is a form, it is endowment. So sadaqatun jariyah is a form of endowment where a person give away something in charity. Then I mentioned the second of the mention, ilmun yantafa bihi, and also knowledge that the people benefit from. So not the person who was up knowledge, but with the person leaving behind books, or the person who's a teacher who have taught people things of benefit of knowledge, where people discontinue even after his death of that knowledge being carried. And then I mentioned waladun salih, then also third being a righteous son, a righteous child, yad'u lahu, that supplicates for him. So those are the things that these things, they still benefit a person even after his death. As for everything else, it ceases to benefit a person. So of those things that we are going to somewhat pause on this matter regarding, we mentioned sadaqatun jariyah. Regarding concern, we mentioned that, and now rahimullah in his explanation of Sahih Muslim, that he mentioned that what is intended, what is meant by sadaqatun jariyah, this continuous sadaqah, is that which it says al-waqf, with a person that gives something away in charity that continues. So but also that to bear in mind regarding concerning not unfortunately regarding concerning how some of the people now today's time perceive what is said to be sadaqatun jariyah. So what of the perceptions, which is a wrong perception regarding what is taken to be this continuous sadaqatun jariyah. We find that in cases where that a person, they find so a sadaqatun jariyah, the asl of it is where the person while he's alive. So sadaqatun jariyah, the person who's still of life, and he chooses to donate, for example, a house, land for people, the general public to benefit from. So the person of endow a particular thing where the general so people, the general public can benefit from this thing even after his death. So I've left that thing fi sabilillah. So that is sadaqah jariyah. So it is something that the person, while they are alive, then they have left this as a part of, for the people to benefit, as a form of sadaqah to continue even after his death. That will remain for a long time, a long period. As for what is now understood and practiced by some regarding what is said to be sadaqah jariyah, we might find and you find these cases, they pop up every so often, that a person that especially in this case, that a person who have died or passed away, then in those cases that people wish to collect money on their deceased, so collect money, solicit funds after the person's death, and to build a wall, to build a masjid on behalf of that person, then that is not sadaqah jariyah, because it was not the effort of that person. And said that even concerning this practice, so you find the practice of this practice, even so the ulama, that they mention it is something that they discuss regarding, especially concerning a case where a person may have died, or a person have died, and a collection is made on behalf of the person who cannot afford it. So collections regarding a person's debt, it is done publicly if that person from his own personal wealth, or from the wealth of his family, or those who can, if there's no resource that's available from his wealth or his family, then you can ask the general public. But the person have their wealth, then should be taken from their wealth. So that wealth could be the person have a house, the person have an account, the person have a car. Some of those things can be sold, and that funeral is paid for from this.
Because that's only for the funeral, not the sadaqah jariyah.
So two things. A person died, but a person have their own possession. Then that their own possession, it is used for their burial, because they have those things. So the person might have a car that can be, as they said, can be sold. And from the sale of that car, the amount that is needed for janazah can be paid from it, and the rest it goes back to his family for a part of his inheritance. But as a first point of return is to go back to seek from the public, then that is not good. Then that is not to be done. And also adding to this, then you might find that the person, as an example, the janazah for the person to be buried, it costs, just say £5,000, go in England, £5,000 for the person to cover all the costs. To exceed that amount, it must be for a legitimate reason. Because the initial says so, if the person has family, he has children, that's a separate discussion. They are not a part of his burial, janazah. And soliciting funds for the family, for the children, for the wife, for the mother, for this person, for that, you have to have a legitimate reason for this. Because if the person could not afford it, but as for his family, then the affairs remain as it is. But to solicit funds and also they said for his family, or to build a school, or to build, then that is people stepping out of line. And you find that Sheikh Fawzan, I've mentioned that it's something which is haram, not to be done. And also the Sheikh from he Saudi, but he lives in Dubai, that Sheikh Aziz Farhan Anazi also spoke against this practice. We'll find that a person, because if the person dies, funds are solicited and exceed the limit so as to put that excess into other things in the person's name, then that is something that it has no precedent. It has no precedent. If the person cannot afford his burial, then money is sought only for his burial. If sometimes he has a wife and have children, no problem. That is understood. Then it's for the community or for that brother to stand up and marry that wife. Why not? So you find the Salaf before, when a person died, the next thing he will do, get married. And so the woman has someone as a protector and a one to maintain her. Not that people have to, you understand, that they have to be begging. We said begging and soliciting funds is only cases where there is a need. As something in Islam is something which is looked down upon. So only the case where the person's in need. If the person not in need, then it should not be done. But we find that people, they do this in the name of sadaqatun jariyah. Next thing that's concerning that matter. Next thing regarding charity that we have to be mindful of regarding this type of charity, regarding concerning as I mentioned, endowment, where it said charities are allowed. But also we have charity regarding that, in cases to be mindful of. A person who wants to make, they say, hijrah, in the name of hijrah, to a country that may be of a certain standard where things may be more, where things are more difficult. The living standard of the country may be different. So the person make hijrah from a country that may be of a standard which is more of a higher standards. But that person, that country, he wasn't a person of any form of wealth or much possession. So he go to this country that the standards, the things are maybe more difficult, and he opens a charity. But when he goes there, he has nothing really much to contribute to that society regarding skills that he can bring to the society or investment. He has none of those things. Here in goes, they say, he has none of those things to contribute to the society. So what he does, or what is done sometimes is what? To open a charity, to do help for the orphans. But what he solicits, number one, that charity is just a one-man show. So those cases where the charity is run by just one person have nothing to do with it. Second, that person before they went there was not known to be a person who was have any track record of being a person of a certain type of any credibility, or known to be a person of that standing in the community, or a person of that level of responsibility, or that level of trustworthiness. He's not known for those things. Because running a charity requires certain credibility. You have to be a person who's trustworthy. But a person didn't have those things before he left, or known for these things. But when he goes there, he opens a charity. I said, not of those things, if it's a one-man show, or I said a lot of charity sometimes is family connected. Or a few people who decide to come to the idea and they kind of somewhat all in the same boat. Then those people have to be you have one, transparency from them regarding transparency, openness from them, and also accountability. What is, and in most part, they are the president and the vice president and the secretary. So the father is the father is the president, the son-in-law or the son is the vice president, and the mother is the secretary. Then in that scenario, in any scenario, accountability. If you have those positions, then you have to declare your earnings that you had before you went and what you have acquired while you're there. Because they're taking on this responsibility. So there's accountability and transparency. What is being earned? And most of these ones, then we have to know what is your, as they say, we want to see your books, your record, what you're taking in and what is going out. Regarding for the people that is meant to be getting this. Because in some cases, when you look into it, the person who's the president, the one-man president, is getting a bulk of those things that are in the name of the charity. And the people you're giving your money, giving your things for them to receive in it, so they're not receiving most of this. Then that's dhulm. Because the person is giving to the charity. Yes, a charity sometimes have overhead costs, but you have to be what? Transparent in those things. And not the bulk of it, you're getting this. The person run the charity, the bulk of it. That's why you find even in England, cases where charity where someone had to be closed because of the people who are the ones in charge, they're reaping most of what the charity get. So they want to travel in the name of the charity. But you're going on your own holiday. You have a car in the name of charity, your house in the name of the charity. So those things are those things are problematic. Those things are problematic. So in the Sharia also, it have certain things that was said. So you have those two things regarding concerning that to be mindful of. The overuse, overextended, what is said to be sadaqatun jariyah. And the second bit is regarding charities. Those two things to be mindful of in today's society, or even amongst us, the Muslim, in particular, overstretching of these things. Nam, aywa tafaddal. So Sadaqah Jariyah, the main point concerning Sadaqah Jariyah is something a person themselves established. Not someone establishing something after your death, then that's something else. Aywa.
I know, okay, what you just said that if, say for example, Fulan dies, he's got some wealth left over after all his debts have been paid, etc. And his family decide to take some of his money and build a masjid or a well or something like that. Would that be Sadaqah Jariyah for the person who's died, or?
That's it. Consider, if the person have died and everything has been paid out, and he still has some wealth, that becomes part of his irth. Part of what we discussed concerning of his thing concerning his inheritance. So the wife only can use it so that to be distributed. You understand? One person can't decide that we're going to put this here. It has to be each person, so it has to be, she can give from her portion. But she can't just say, okay, for example, a person have died, and after everything been worked out, is what remain. For example, he has 10,000 remain. Now, that 10,000 is to be used as a part, for example, if he has wife and other, we said those people are deserving to inherit from him. So she's not the one who's going to get, she's not the wife or the mother or the father, does not have full control regarding everything to be put in building a well. Because they get a percentage of it, not all of it.
Say for example, that percentage they get, for example.
If she says she uses them, say each one, then that's on her. She can.
Can she say that I'm going to do it on his behalf? Is that okay?
No, if you do it on the bus, not per se Sadaqah Jariyah. It's a Sadaqah fi sabilillah, but not per se on the title of Sadaqah Jariyah. Clear? Aywa. If it is used as such, it's by the kiyana, it's not per se as meant, but overstretching the word.
So sorry, just to clarify, Sadaqah Jariyah needs to be done by the person.
If the person themselves established while they were alive, or they put it in their will to be done
in case of death.
So something that they themselves kind of somewhat they led on this, and they're the one who initiated it.
So all this new modern day thing of starting
And so it's overstretching the word. It's overstretching. And so sometimes even used in a way which is problematic.
So, extension of what you said, even the ones that support, the ones that will set up charity, like some people might be like, okay, I'm living here, I'm going to Nigeria, I'm going to set up charity. Then they will recruit people here, people they know, so they will get the people to support them. So that one too is not allowed.
Now, I'm not saying charity is not allowed.
No.
What I'm saying that regarding charity, that things are done correctly and properly. Where I'm saying to know that in some sense that where people don't misuse it for their own personal, you open charities for their own benefit, then that's wrong. So a person says, yes, a charity is something which is at times needed. But it should be operated properly. Where it said no, so but where it is not misused. It is not misused in the name of charity, but it's really I'm the one eating from it. I'm the one really benefiting. The bulk of the benefit goes back to me. So the fridge that I donated, it's in your house. The office that you donated is in my house. The car that you sent, I am using it all the time. Yes, I'm saying. So things are being misused. Where everything, most of the main things, is going back to the person who said to be the one in charge. And the people that it is meant for, they are receiving just 10%. Then that's a problem. They are getting the least of it, the leftover of it. Then that's a problem. I'm saying so that's the thing, especially said it becomes, we say you have to look at those cases carefully. When a person, for example, that he has skills in computer and he can take that skill anywhere. Now, so he said, I'm going to go to a place and say, so he has a skill that can be used, so you understand, and you have a skill that can be used anywhere, international. So I know that you have a skill that if you go to a place, you can still help in that skill can benefit the people there. But on the side, you want to do a charity. So I can understand, yes, that person have a skill that they themselves can sustain themselves. But also on the side, they want to help the people while they're there. But they themselves have a skill that they can use that skill to maintain themselves. But when you find a case, a person go to those countries, but you have no skill to maintain yourself, nor any sources of income to maintain yourself. So you're going to open a charity. You have no sources of money even to maintain yourself there. Then from point to so that's thinking logically, charity, you understand, it may be something which is for that person proper. Yes, I'm saying. So that's the thing. So I'm saying you can see the record. I'm saying that the person every 3 months they're coming back here to work to maintain themselves, and then you don't see them at all. Then all of a sudden I have a charity. Then those things, you understand, we need transparency, clear transparency of what's going on. Because of things in charity, don't be amazed with tazyin, with people trying to beautify things. Especially concerned with money. Remember I said most thieves and crooks, they know how to, as I said, play the people, isn't it? So charity sometimes is those things that people use it to their advantage. So that's why I said, transparency and proper accountability. You give to a charity that is registered. And you see the accountability is there. And the people that are there, that they are, you understand that they're people that, they are trustworthy people. They are known, they have a track record for this. So those are things to look into. Bear in mind, I'm not saying it's haram. I'm not saying every case, I'm saying, but just look into those things. Just look into those things. Aywa.
The donor of an endowment must be legally qualified to manage his own property. This means that she must be a free, adult and sane person. Thus, a child, a foolish or weak-minded person, or a slave is not legally qualified to grant an endowment.
Hey, so the person has to mention that, so of those conditions regarding that the person who is doing this endowment, also they have to be they fall in a certain category. Those people said to be, the mention said, baligh, the person said to be the mukallif, which is the mention here, baligh, the person is baligh of a certain age, above the age of puberty, not only above, but also the hur, a free person. Also they mention here, Rashid, but a person also that they can think straight and proper. That a person is somewhat a responsible person regarding how they look at things and put things in their proper order. Aywa.
An endowment is established through either of the following two ways. Number one, verbal indication of an endowment, such as saying, I endow this place, or saying, I endow this place to be used as a mosque. Number two, actions that indicate endowment according to common convention, such as turning one's house into a mosque and giving permission for people to perform prayer therein, or turning one's land into a cemetery and permitting people to bury dead persons therein.
Hey, so the mention regarding concerning of those way concerning that al-fadh regarding concerning that by way of how endowment is put in place, where either by way of person by words, by the saying using clear, straightforward words. So the person by saying that, and also words, and also in writing. So the person either verbally have uttered that this particular building, I'm donating this house to be a masjid. So that becomes clear because of the words that I'm giving this endowment, this building, my house to be used as a masjid, or my house to be used as a place where people can use it, or in people who are homeless. So those things are words that are being said. The person put it in writing, or it is put in writing, signed and sealed, then that becomes something that is clear, straightforward. Or by way of the person action, by way of the person an action which is a general action, that the person was concerned that he built a masjid, and a masjid, the door is open for anyone to enter. Because the person might the person might have a masjid and it's only a restricted masjid, a masjid that's in his house. So only for him and his family. And maybe special guests that they may use, but that's not a public masjid. Because it's still on his property, on his premises. So it should be something which is, you have given general permission for people to use it freely. So those are by ways of either by way of speech or by way of action. Aywa.
A verbal statement of an endowment is of two kinds. Number one, direct statement, such as saying, I endowed such and such property, or saying, I grant such and such property as an endowment in the cause of Allah and the like. These are direct statements that have only the meaning of granting endowments. When a donor just utters such words, his endowment becomes valid. If it meets the necessary conditions, and he does not need to say any other formulas to confirm the endowment.
So this first time I mentioned that this is Americans al-fadl sariha, where you use straightforward words or direct words. So those words, when they are uttered, then there's no need for the person to check his intention. What was his intention? So the person said, okay, this masjid, I endow this my house to be used as a masjid, or my house to be used for people that are homeless. So so the fact that I've said this verbally direct, you don't have to ask what was my intention. So my words my words now is used as being something that is clear and direct, without have to ask the person about his intention. Aywa.
Number two, metonymy. Here it means saying metonymic
So
words.
this is a kinaya, which is indirect. So it's indirect. So you have direct and kinaya, indirect.
Indirect.
Aywa.
Indirect words that can have meanings other than endowments, such as saying, I give such and such property in charity. I grant such and such property to be used forever, or the like. When a donor uses such indirect words, he must have the intention of granting an endowment, or use some direct statements side by side with such indirect words to clarify them.
So it's indirect word meaning concerns, it could go this way or that way. You have given something, but it could go this way, or it could meant that way. So now you need to investigate regarding what was his intention. So indirect mean that it could go this way, this possibility or that possibility. It could carry two meanings. Now you just need to know what did he actually intend to make it now becomes more straightforward. Aywa.
Conditions for the validity of establishing an endowment.
They mention according to the ulama of the Hanabila sabah. They mention 7 conditions. Aywa.
Number one, the donor must be legally qualified to manage his own property, as mentioned above.
So that person I mentioned, who said that the person they sentence to be hur, free person, mukallif, rashid. Mukallif means a person above the age of puberty and also of sound mind. The word mukallif is used by jumhur of the ulama. The ahnaf, they use the word ahliya. So the ahnaf use a different term, which is the word ahliya, and jumhur use the word mukallif. So that's concerning the difference in wording. But so the person, regard that the person giving that thing away should be a person who's of sound mind. Second, above the age of puberty, and also a person who's that they can have sound decisions.
Number two, the endowed object must be an identified article which is consistently utilizable and non-consumable, unlike food and the like.
And there's a khilaf between the ulama on the second part regarding concern. I mentioned that al-mawfiza yuntafi bihi istimraran or da'iman. That is something that can be used forever. Meaning consider the person use it still remain. So that thing should be something that even if it is being used, say I have a house. People use by the house, people go and come. So the house still remain, but the people might go and come. So that thing, the item itself, it still remains, regardless of how many people come in and out. So house, they mention even, for example, a car, land, those type of things that can somewhat they remain, but they have last for a long time. So, but as for things mentioned, as for things that, for example, food. So I'm going to give you this food, can it be a waqf? As a person eat it, then khalas is gone. So a person come forward, says, I give this food as waqf, as endowment. One person come and use it, and it's gone. It doesn't remain. So the mention of the ulama mentioned that cannot be used as a waqf, because it doesn't say remain after it has been used. But even though if I said that some of the Malikiya have a different view on this. So if I said the Malikiya have a different view, but this is the qawl of what I've been mentioning as Jumhur. And also that thing should be something which is mubah. That must be something which is, that thing also can be benefit from. It lasts long, remain after being used. That also should be something which is mubah, something which is permissible, shar'an. Aywa.
Number 3, that endowed object must be specified. If it is invalid to grant unspecified, it is invalid to grant unspecified endowments. It is invalid, for example, to say, I endow only one of my slaves, or saying, I endow one of my houses without specifying it.
So that means that thing that is being, as I put as an endowment, it should be something that has been specified and identified clearly. So the person might have houses. So it says, now I give an endowment, one of my house. Then which house? You have specified, you have many houses, so which one you intend? So it should be something which is somewhat specified as to what is that thing being given. Even though again concerned the Malikiya disagree with that view. Even though the Malikiya, they may disagree with this particular view. But that's of the view that is mentioned regarding, yes, it should be specified, so it is clear as to that thing that is put down as a endowment. Aywa.
Number 4, the endowment must be for something beneficial, for it is a means of getting nearer to Allah, such as mosque, barrages, measuring bowls, houses, books of useful knowledge, etc. Another example of endowments for righteous use is endowing something to support kith and kin. Accordingly, an endowment is invalid to be made for temples of the disbelievers, for books of disbelief and atheism, or for lighting or incensing shrines, or providing food and water for the custodians of certain graves. This is because such endowments are regarded as means of assisting others in disobedience, polytheism, and disbelief.
Yes, so the general point here is regarding concerning those things that are put as a form of waqf. There should be something of bir, something of goodness. Now, I said, and anything that goes against this, then it is not. So, since I mentioned that, لا يسأل الوقف على كل ما كان فيه معصية أو haram. So anything which is something of ma'asiyah, disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or something which is haram, they cannot be used as a waqf. As a waqf. So those things cannot be used. So that's concerned. So that's a general rule. So they mentioned regarding an example that they gave concern that so as an example, so it could include houses, it could include masajid, bridges, those things as books that are beneficial, land, property. These things can be put as a form of endowment. As for things they mentioned regarding concern that matter regarding that leave an endowment regarding leaving a church, then no. Because it's aiding in something of ma'asi, which is a shirk. Or concerning books of people of kufr wa shirk or bid'ah. Even including concerning books of ahli bid'ah, that clear bid'ah, none, those books are not to be, cannot be used as a form of endowment. Aywa.
So 2 questions, Omar. Can you do an endowment for like educational purposes?
And concerning there's something of benefit. So the education, as I said, with education can be somewhat a wide area, then you may have to specify what concerning what area of education.
So like if you just said maths, science and English.
And then that's, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, so maths, English, those type of things, as they are things that are of benefit.
So second question. Say for instance, someone gives an endowment of like a vineyard of fruit and says basically it's for poor people.
Aywa.
How would that be done? Because wouldn't that mess up the market for people that are selling fruit also? Is there some sort of rules regarding that?
So can the endowment concerns that either one concerns that he gave this property of vineyards and this vineyard. So said those things would be when they are reaped, they'll be given, distributed to the people, the masakin.
Okay, so it wouldn't be people just going and picking.
And so it would be somewhat so that is where people just free, anyone can do and just pick. So it'd be somewhat where that whatever is reaped, then it is distributed to the people of masakin. Or you have maybe certain times where they can come, the masakin, the needy people can come and take from it. Sorry?
What do you mean by
Aqarib means concerning property. Land.
Just land.
So it's going to say, so property, land, that type of thing. So it could be things that's in a farmland or there's a bare land. So things of so land and property. So it could be like a flat. You have some like in Medina, or in Medina, consider maybe still means and that I will discuss concerning for the Tullab. You have Awqaf, just a building. So you have like Awqaf for the Tullab in the Haram. So like for the people, the students, in the Haram, you have the people who are foreign students. So you have Awqaf that they'll give some type of statement or some type of muqafa. What's the muqafa will be assistance, finance to the students. So you have a type of, they have that. So for students who, but they fall in a certain category, which would be the foreign students because they're away from their family. Or you have a building that is Awqaf, where for students who are married with family, then they're given a flat. Now, so all that is a part of the property or house. Then for students, so those things are a form of a part of the property. Aywa.
Number 5, if the endowment is made for a certain person, that person must be one whose ownership is legally considered valid, because an endowment is a kind of ownership that is not valid for those who cannot possess property such as dead or an animal.
Aywa.
Number 6, an endowment must be fulfilled once it is made. It is invalid to be temporary or suspended except in cases it is a condition for it to be given on the donor's death. For example, it is valid for a donor of an endowment to say, "When I die, my house will be an endowment for the poor." To illustrate, Abu Dawood related that Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu determined in his will that after his death, land of his called Tamagh would be an endowment for the charity Yamakullah. Since this tradition was well known and no scholar disapproved of it, it is considered consensus. Thus, if an endowment is made conditional on the donor's death, it must be given from only 1/3 of his property, as endowments take the same ruling on bequests.
Hey, so Shul's going to say the person that's on his death belt or close to time of death, then he goes into a different category. So not everything that he may wish to give can be given. So that will be within a certain range or percentage of the thing that he possesses, so as not to so as not to impact negative on regarding is the inheritors. So whatever, it shouldn't exceed a third. So the person might say give this, but the value is more than, when everything is calculated, it goes above a third, then it's restricted to a third. And what is less? Aywa.
It is obligatory to fulfill the condition of the donor of the endowment as long as it does not violate Sharia. For the Prophet ﷺ said, Muslims must keep to the conditions they make, except for a condition that makes something prohibited lawful, or something lawful prohibited. Besides, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu made a condition when he granted an endowment, and if it were not obligatory to be fulfilled, it would be no use to make it. Therefore, the donor of an endowment can make conditions concerning the amount of the endowment, the priority order of the beneficiaries, the presence of or the lack of certain quality or qualities of the beneficiaries, the guardianship of the endowment, and so on. That is to say, the condition made by the donor must be fulfilled unless it violates the Quran or the Sunnah. However, if the donor stipulates nothing, those to whom the endowment is donated will be equal. There will be no difference between the rich and the poor, or between the males and the females among them. If no guardian is stipulated by the donor to take care of the endowment, or if the appointed guardian dies, the endowment must be supervised by those to whom the endowment is donated, if they are specified persons. If the endowment
So look at the custodian over the
over the endowment.
Aywa.
If the endowment is granted to an association like a mosque, or for unspecified people or unlimited number of people, such as the needy or the poor in general, the authorities are responsible to take care of the endowment, or at least to appoint someone to do so.
If they're like today Muslim society, most Muslims they have concern with Wizarah al-Awqaf. So you have like a Wizard al-Awqaf of those things that would be like the religious, but they will take care also regarding charity and these type of things. They will kind of supervise these things. Even this country have concerned a charity commission that look after concerning some of these things regarding charity and endowment. Aywa.
Generally, the guardian of an endowment must fear Allah and take good care of the endowment, for it is considered a trust in his liability. If the donor makes an endowment for his children, male and female children will be equal, as he has made them equal partners in his endowment. Since there is no specific division stipulated by the donor, all his children will have equal share in it. Just like the case when one grants something to his children, it is equally divided among them. After the death of the donor's children, the endowment is to be given to the children of his sons, not those of his daughters. This is because daughters' children belong to the other men, their fathers, whose names are given to them, and thus those children are not included in the Quranic verse that states, Allah instructs you concerning your children, i.e. their portion of inheritance. Surah An-Nisa, Ayat 11. However, some scholars maintain that your children in the aforesaid verse also include daughters' children, as one's daughters are one's children, and their children are the children of one's children. And Allah knows best.
I think that view is Al-Ba ibn Taymiyyah. I didn't double check, but I think that's the view of Al-Ba ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. Aywa.
If the donor says, I made this endowment for my sons or for the sons of so-and-so, then the endowment will belong only to the sons, not the daughters, for the word sons refers to the male children, not to the female ones. Allah, exalted be He, shows such distinction when He says, or has He daughters while you have sons? Surah Tur, Ayat 39. However, if the donor specifies that he makes the endowment for a certain tribe, such as Banu Hashim, i.e. son of the tribe of Hashim, or Bani Tamim, i.e. sons of the tribe of Tamim, then the endowment will belong to both the sons and the daughters of the specified tribe. This is because the title Banu of an Arab tribe refers to both the sons and daughters of the tribe, though Banu means sons.
So they mention it, what they can clarify regarding certain wordings out there to be understood. So the Prince says, وَقَفْتُ عَلَى أَبْنَاهِ. Use the word أَبْنَاهِ. I made this for my sons. Then it is taken as the male. But they mention أَوْلَادِ. They include male and female. So the word abna would include male, but أَوْلَاد will include both male and female children. Then also they mention that Bani such and such, Bani Fulan, like a tribe, that would also include male and female, as a tribe in makeup as consists of male and female. Aywa.
If the donor makes an endowment for a limited group of people whose members can be specified, each of them must have an equal share. But if it is for a group whose members cannot be specified or limited, it is not obligatory to divide it among them, as it will be impossible then. Rather, it is permissible to make the endowment restricted to some of them according to a priority order. An endowment is one of the binding commitments that become obligatory to fulfill once they are made. Hence, it is impermissible to cancel it, for the Prophet ﷺ said, the land and trees of an endowment will neither be sold nor given as a present nor bequeathed.
So this point regarding of those things regarding endowment or waqf, that the person gives that thing, then you cannot go back on it. So if you have given that thing as a form of waqf, then you can't say later on, I want my thing back. Then no, that's not to be done. So the person may ask, it's not given. Aywa.
At-Tirmidhi said, scholars rely on this hadith for the ruling on endowment. In short, it is impermissible to cancel an endowment as it is legally considered an eternal contract. Moreover, an endowment can neither be sold nor transferred from its place unless its benefits completely vanish.
So regarding also endowment, that the general thing that is not, it cannot be given as a gift to someone, or says a thing that everyone benefit. The person of giving it is not says a gift to all. Also, that thing generally is not to be sold off. Or so it cannot be sold off type of thing. And the person also cannot come back on it. So remain for the general public, become for public use. But I mentioned concerning at certain occasions, is the person allowed to, can be sold, but be for a greater benefit. So for example, that a person donated a masjid. Nam, the masjid is small, they're up the road, not on the same road or around the block, they're able to build another masjid bigger. Can that masjid was given as an endowment, can it be sold? They said yes, because that benefit now, because they have a next masjid that is close by, that's attached to it, so you could sold that one, close it down, and that money be used into that masjid.
But the money has to be used.
It has to be used in that masjid.
So
it has to be used for the original purpose that it was given for, or for something similar. But the general thing that it could be if there's a legitimate reason. If there's a legitimate reason, so you'll find that, for example, that a masjid, like a masjid, a masjid, it has sort of boundaries, the yard. So you have the masjid, the building, but also you have the yard that goes with it. Can the masjid sell the yard without a legitimate reason? So the premises is there, they have the building, but that building may need at some point maybe a possibility of expansion. But can they sell the land, extra land, that maybe you need without a valid reason? They shouldn't be, because all is a part of the endowment. So it shouldn't be sold unless there's a valid reason for this. Aywa?
For example,
when the endowed house collapses and the profit it makes cannot afford its repair, or when the endowed agricultural land becomes infertile and its yield cannot afford its reclamation, it is permissible in such cases to sell the endowed object and use its price to get its like, for this best serves the object of its grantor. However, if the value of the sold endowed property cannot afford an equal substitute, the price is to be spent to get a similar one, even if of less value. Thus, the new property will be regarded as an endowment once it is bought.
So this is a call of, since you have the Jumhur of ulama, all that concerned that endowment are not to be sold off. They should not be sold at all. But you find a view that it can be. A view that it can be, and that view, is that for a legitimate reason. Aywa?
If the endowed property is a mosque that is no longer in use as it is damaged or the like, it is to be sold and its price must be spent on getting another mosque. If the profit of an endowment is dedicated to a mosque and the profit is more than enough, it is permissible to spend the surplus money on another mosque, for this serves and complies with the main purpose of the endowment.
Aywa?
Similarly, it is permissible to give charity to the needy from the surplus of profit of an endowment originally allocated to a mosque. If the donor designates a particular person as the endowment beneficiary and specifies a certain amount of money of the endowment profit to be granted to that person every year, the surplus money is to be specified. Shaykh Taqiyuddin, may Allah have mercy on him, said in this regard, if the proceeds of the endowment are always more than enough, the surplus must be charitably spent or keeping its decrease for keeping its decreases its value. If the donor makes an endowment for the benefit of a mosque, and then this mosque is ruined and the endowment yield cannot afford its repair, it must be spent on another mosque.
Aywa. So that's concerning what is mentioned regarding of those ahkam that relates to al-waqf. So al-waqf, as we mentioned, is something regarding charity and endowment, which Islam have certain guidelines and conditions that are set in place that one should follow regarding these type of charities. So with that, inshallah, we'll end today's session or this lesson of the book Mulakhaz al-Fiqhi and continue next week. Wabillahi ta'ala tawfiq. Ibn Taymiyyah. Taqiyuddin Ibn Taymiyyah.